Thanks so much for joining me, Mr. Sharma. A couple of points, important ones is that I believe there has been a direction given to the TRAI to look at issuing fresh licenses all over again. What's your initial sense on this?
You see, as far as we are concerned, we have not seen the judgment. And so it will be premature to react. But of course, if the Honorable Supreme Court has said that these licenses are to be cancelled and fresh licenses are to be given, we'll study this. And in any case, we have been saying that in future it will be unified license. And so the question is we have to examine the question of spectrum allocation to the people who would be having the unified license. So I guess I'll have to study the judgment before we really come out with any specific reaction.
Right, but do you expect this judgment to come out today in the order that it has? And in that light, were you prepared with a draft suggestion beforehand in expectation of what may happen? Was this discussed before as well?
No. I mean, I think one should never presume any judgment of the Supreme Court. How can this be done? No.
Mr. Sharma, broadly, is there a sense that here on, if at all there is a license issue or a framework being decided, what happens to the interest of the subscribers becomes a foremost priority, because a lot of people would be in the dark right now as to what happens to all those subscribers who are taking up the subscription of the affected parties or the affected licenses?
No, firstly, the number of subscribers is just about less than 5% of the total subscriber base. That is the subscribers of this January 2008 licenses. That's number one. And then also, mind you, the VLR ratio of these people is low. So firstly, it's not as if there's a very significant number. But even those that are there can be always ported out. We'll have to work it out. Obviously, it's going to be there's going to be some immediate inconvenience to the subscribers of these licensees. But I'm sure we'll work out a solution.
Right, Mr. Sharma, but going forward, do you believe that the auction route is the best way to allocate spectrum?
I have already said that. We have earlier in May 2010, we have stated that auction may not be feasible given the various factors. But subsequently in November and all that, we have been saying clearly that because if you recall, we have recommended the cancellation of certain licenses. We have clearly stated to the government that if these licenses are cancelled, then there would be adequate spectrum. Now that adequate spectrum is available consequent upon the cancellation of these 122 licenses, obviously this auction would be the best course of action. I mean, in any case, Indian Telecom has evolved sufficiently now, and auction would be the best route.
Okay, Mr. Sharma, one more word. A lot of experts who are with us right now have spoken about how this would impact, the foreign investor sentiment into the telecom space as well. And maybe this is a bit of a landmark judgment as far as telecom, the sector in India goes. You think this will be a big overhang on how foreign investment or investment in general in the telecom space would shape up over the next 5 to 10 years?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there will be any adverse effects on direct investment. I think, on the other hand, this clarifies a lot of issues, and I think the path ahead is actually clear. And I think, frankly, I think it's the FDI route right now. I mean, the prospects of FDI would actually be even brighter.
Right. Mr. Sharma, what happens from here on now? I mean, while you're saying that you're also waiting details, the only piece of news that we have is that the TRAI is to make fresh suggestions for grant of licenses, and that the government will take a decision after 1 month of getting the TRAI recommendations. Is there a timeline that's been laid out on when these recommendations would be made? And, have you had any sort of deliberations on this matter?
No. I mean, as I mentioned before, the news is just out. We will deliberate on it immediately. We will act it most expeditiously. I don't think there would be any delay on our part.
All right. And, also one other aspect is, of course, the litigation overhang this has for a lot of telecom companies. And, of course, we have also seen some penalties being laid for them. How does this impact the normal course of business now?
Well, I mean, I have no comment to make on the judicial processes. Some of these penalties are currently sub judice. But I suppose once now that the license results are cancelled, I guess the consequential action will follow.
Mr. Sharma, just a reiteration, just one final word really. Your sense of what happens to the money paid as license fees by a lot of these subscribers?
I have to see we have to see the judgment, and therefore, frankly, we have not seen the judgment, and I'm sure a lot of this is perhaps contained in the judgment. Let's see that, and I will react during the course of the day or in the course of the next couple of days.
Right. Just one final thought, Mr. Sharma. I know this is still early days in terms of you going back to the drawing board and penciling out fresh suggestions for a new license or spectrum policy. But what, to your mind, academically would be the kind of broad guidelines that you want to lay out, or do things differently this time around to avoid any controversies in the future?
No, there will be no controversies in the future. That I can assure you. But the question is, as I said, we have my immediate thoughts are, we have already recommended the unified license, and any unified licensee can actually seek spectrum. So the spectrum will be up for auction, and I guess the auction methods are already has been indicated. We have had the ascending method of auction, and I guess we will look into all these issues. The question is of fixing the reserve price, etc., of spectrum. That is an issue on which we will have to definitely apply our mind. And I guess there are a couple of issues on which we will be deliberating. We'll have a consultation paper shortly, perhaps, and then we would decide on these issues. I guess the whole thing would be decided in the course of next couple of months.